It's that time of the month again, which means another Legendary Hero Summoning event is here. This special banner features 12 powerful heroes, and the 5-star focus rate is set to 8%, while the non-focus 5-star rate is set to 0%. That means any 5 stars you summon from this banner is guaranteed to be one of these 12 heroes on this lineup. It's a great way to get yourselves any new 5 stars, but keep in mind that trying to get one specific hero is actually a bit more difficult. In this video, I'll be covering what skills you can get from each of these heroes, as well as provide a short description for each of them. If you end up getting someone you don't really want, then this video will help you decide if they have a valuable skill that you can inherit to another unit. With all that said, let's first talk about the new legendary hero. Well, it's finally Marth's day because he is our new legendary hero. Legendary Marth is an infantry sword unit, and while I may not have access to his actual stats at the time I'm making this video, I think it's implied he will be decently fast. Most players have a bunch of infantry sword units by now, but Legendary Marth might pique your interest because he comes with 3 unique skills, plus introduces a new inheritable skill too. There's a lot to talk about, so let's first start with his weapon. Legendary Marth wields the Exalted Falchion, which is a 16-point weapon that retains its dragon killing power. It also grants a flat +3 speed, which is nice. Its other effect is that it grants bonus stats based on the current bonus Marth already has on his individual stats. Basically, it effectively doubles the power of any field buffs you give to Marth. If Marth has +4 attack and +4 speed, then Exalted Falchion adds another +4 attack and +4 speed during combat. That means with potentially +6 to all stats from, say, tactic buffs, Legendary Marth can gain another +6 to all stats for a total of +12. Now, this is a very similar effect to Erica's upgraded Siglin, but instead of taking the buffs from teammates, Marth amplifies the buffs on himself. Exalted Falchion works amazingly with Legendary Marth's new special skill because it lets him buff himself. This new special is literally called Fire Emblem, probably because Legendary Marth is holding the Fire Emblem from his game. So this special has 2 parts to it. First off, it's a damage special with 2 cooldown, and its damage is equal to 30% of Marth's speed. For reference, Regno Astra is 40% of Iris speed, so it's just a tad weaker. The second part grants +4 to all stats for all allies on the field, including Marth. This is a field buff, which means the Exalted Falchion amplifies that +4 to become +8 in total for Legendary Marth. This can come in handy if Marth has to fight multiple times in one turn, and plus all of his allies can make use of the +4 to all stats during their turns. It's not a huge damage special, but the 2-turn cooldown plus the global buff for the team grants a lot of utility when it does activate. It's definitely a very cool new skill. Moving on, Legendary Marth also comes with a unique B skill called Binding Shield. So when Marth fights a dragon foe, he gets a guaranteed follow-up, and dragons cannot counterattack. They also can't get a follow-up attack. So this is essentially what Dragon Breaker or Breath Breaker would have been with no HP requirement, and it also adds a sweep type effect too. For the second part, I interpret it as if Marth initiates on a dragon, they can't counter at all, but if he gets attacked first by a dragon, then they cannot make follow-up attacks. So as you can see, Legendary Marth is here to combat against the Dragon Emblem hordes. He makes enemy phase builds completely useless, and he can also actually stop Bold Fighter Melgrimo from getting 2 attacks. Now all of this sounds amazing, but do remember that this skill is completely useless against non-dragon units. Understandably, dragons are pretty popular in the arena right now, but do realize that it's a very specialized ability. Now Legendary Marth's last new skill is called Infantry Flash 3. This should be inheritable, and it already has a Heavy Blade equivalent. This skill grants Flashing Blade 3 to all infantry allies within 2 spaces. It's a nice support skill if you want to run a speedy infantry team, and to get the most value out of it, you definitely want a set team in mind. I think it's an okay skill, and it does require some pre-planning on your part to determine how good it can be. I sort of skipped over it, but Legendary Marth also comes with Attack and Speed Bond. It's a good skill, but if Marth has to initiate against a dragon, then activating it can be difficult. The bond skills are generally better for defensive play, and while Binding Shield prevents follow-up attacks, it still means Marth has to take a hit from a dragon if he baits them in. If he can initiate first, then he won't get hit at all, which is much better. That said, it's pretty obvious Legendary Marth has a clear role as a dragon counter. I'm not entirely sure how he fares against blue dragons compared to Alm's Double Lion Falchion, but you can't argue that Binding Shield definitely adds some good utility in those matchups. Exalted Falchion is a very good weapon overall, and if you're familiar with how much extra stats Erica can reach, then Marth is probably going to be just as strong in the player's hands. If you can figure out a way to give him full buffs every turn, then he should be a good candidate for distant counter. I'm glad to see Marth get some cool new skills, and he definitely should be a good unit. Joining Marth are 11 other heroes. In the red corner is of course Legendary Marth, the newer sword Reinhardt, and Lean. For blue, Fjorm is back, and Nephany and Brave Lucina join her at the ready. For greens, Gunthra, Spring Alphonse, and Level Bounce Hector are just here to fight. Last, in another surprise appearance, is legendary female Grima, and to join her are Faye and Spring Kagero. We'll now talk about each unit individually and show off what valuable skills each of them has to offer. We already talked about legendary Marth already, so we can skip straight to inheritable skills. Attack and speed bond is pretty good and still rare, so it definitely is something to keep a hold of. Infantry flash is new, so if you want to pass it on to someone else, then you have to get Marth anyways. Sword Reinhardt is a very potent sword cavalier, and his Meisterschwert weapon allows him to always attack twice during any attack. I believe he is still the only unit who can quad on the enemy phase. Reinhardt is focused on attack, but his defenses are actually pretty good too. His very low speed does mean he will get doubled a lot, but Horse Emblem buffs can patch that up. For skills, Reinhardt has spur attack and defense, and the dual spur type skills are pretty strong in my opinion. Death Blow and Vantage are both good too, but you can find them on other units in the lower rarities. Lean is a dancer, so her utility is what shines the most. She does come with the Safeguard Sword, which can be inherited, and it grants +7 defense during the enemy phase, making it a very good defensive weapon. She also has Firestorm Dance if you wanted another dancer to buff up attack and speed. Sword Valor grants no combat power, but does give sword allies double SP, so it's a good quality of life skill to have. Overall, summoning for legendary Marth shouldn't be that painful since Reinhardt is a really strong cavalry unit, and Lean can be another dancer for your army, or you get the new Safeguard Sword. Moving on to blue units, Fjorm is back, and while everyone can get a free copy of her, she does have very good skills to inherit. Attack and defense bond is a good combination, and Shield Pulse is a strong defensive skill that is still way too hard to get. Fjorm is always nice to see because she has such good skills on offer. Nephany is a great pickup because she recently got her new Dauntless Lance, which is a great weapon all around. She's a fast lance user who also has a great defensive stat. Overall, Nephany is a very good physical brawler, and her Wrath B skill is highly sought after because it dishes out extra damage on special procs, plus it has cooldown reduction too. If you don't get a good natured Nephany, then she is extremely valuable just for Wrath. Brave Lucina is another fast lance user. She can do good damage, and her weapon Gerskogo provides combat buffs to allies with physical damage weapons. With her default drive speed, Lucina can grant +3 attack and +6 speed to physical damage units, and you can also add a drive sacred seal to boost it further. She is a solid fighter plus support unit, and even if you don't want her, she has the prestigious Aether special skill too. In terms of skill inheritance, the blue group is pretty stacked this time around. In the green group, we have Gunthra, and she is an interesting green mage cavalier that benefits a ton from debuffs on the enemy. Her Blizzard Tome gains damage based on the amount of debuffs on her enemy, and her Chilling Sail B skill inflicts a massive -6 attack and speed debuff on the enemy with the lowest defense. With Res Ploy, she can inflict resistance debuffs as well, and overall Gunthra can cause a lot of havoc. Her only really valuable skill is Res Ploy, but that is a Sacred Seal now, so it's not super rare by any means. Spring Alphonse is a hard-hitting axe cavalier who also has a decent speed stat. He has a nice mix of offensive stats, and with 30 defense, he is ready for physical damage combat. Alphonse's Giant Spoon Plus lost some of its exclusivity because Libra brought Wool Gun into the 4-star pool, and both weapons act the exact same, granting +10 damage on special procs. Spring Alphonse is the only unit with defense smoke currently, however, and I think it's a very good C skill since it synergizes nicely with Vantage. It's definitely the skill to inherit if you don't want our Bunny Lord. As for Level Bounce Hector, he comes with Berserk Armads, which has Wrath 3 plus special cooldown -1. It's a very dangerous weapon, and you really can't let this Hector proc his special if the Wrath is activated. Like all other Hectors, Level Bounce Hector has great attack and defense with lower speed and resistance. He's a great unit to have, and of course he has Distant Counter, which instantly makes him valuable. If you are desperate for Distant Counter, then I suppose this is one way to try and get it. It's not going to be easy, but it is available. For colorless, we have legendary female Grima again, and at this point I'm sure most players are pretty tired of seeing her. If you're a new player, know that she is the only colorless dragon currently, and she's also a flying dragon. Her dragon skin A skill negates her weakness to arrows, which is really good, and Expiration is a distant counter weapon. With a great 35 speed, she is actually quite hard to take down, and she is definitely a good unit to have. If you don't want her or have copies, then keep in mind she is the only unit that has Res Smoke currently. Faye isn't really a bad archer, but she doesn't really utilize her natural fire sweep bow well. Despite her low speed, Faye has gained popularity with guard bow builds, and it's definitely a better build than keeping her natural fire sweep bow. That said, a lot of other archers would love to have that Fire Sweep Bow, and Faye, being a 5-star exclusive archer, is literally keeping Arena sane by not letting everybody have a Brave Lyn with a Fire Sweep Bow. Faye is definitely a prime unit to look out for, either as a pretty good guard bow user or just having Fire Sweep Bow. Our last unit is Spring Kagero, who is our only flying dagger user currently. She comes with an amazing offensive spread of 35 attack and 34 speed, and she can be a useful unit for Fire Emblem teams. Her lethal Carrot Plus is the only dagger that adds plus 10 damage on special activations, so if you really want that effect on someone else, then you'll need Kagero to do so. She also has speed and resistance bond, which can be good at fighting fast mages. Live for Honor is not a combat skill, but it does grant 1.5 times badges in the training tower. For very new players, this can be a nice quality of life skill, and starting out you may not have the amount of badges needed for upgrading sacred seals. Every bit counts, so it's nice to have when you really need more badges. Overall, Colorless is pretty good, with Grima and Kagero being solid flying units, and Faye bringing the Fire Sweep Bow to pass along to a lot of offensive archers. That wraps up this Legendary Hero Summoning event, and it should be out tonight if you're watching this video the day it's been uploaded. Now I would like to mention that the Choose Your Legends 2 units have some really good skills for inheriting. Summoning on that banner might be better if you do not care about Legendary Marth. Celica has a new and improved Deathblow 4, and Ephraim has a new armor exclusive skill, Special Fighter. Speaking of Choose Your Legends 2, I'm thinking of doing videos about each of these units based around various topics. If that interests you, then be sure to subscribe and be on the lookout for those videos. That's all I have for now. I'll see you guys in the next one.